Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jean Lebel, the president of the International Development Research Center here in Ottawa, and welcome to the Leaders in Action series. Today, it's a great privilege and an honor to receive at IDRC our friend from Nairobi, Kenya, Jane Weru. Jane, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Jane is the executive director and founding member of Akiba Mashinani Trust, a housing development and finance agency that established by the Slum Dwellers Federation of Kenya. That's a mouthful of words for me to pronounce, Jane.
Yeah.
But importantly, you are also a board member of the Slum Shack Dwellers International, and you are a fellow also with the Ashoka Foundation, and a member of the National Task Force for the Preparation of the Community Land Bill and the Eviction and Resettlement Bill in Kenya.
Yes.
So today we're going to talk about urban development, planning, community engagement, women. But before we go all there, you're a lawyer. You practice law in difficult case, in poor community, affected with no voice. What brought you there? Who were you when you were a little girl? What were your dreams?
I dreamt of being a big lawyer. But when I started practicing, I worked for an advocate called Mukuru, and he was involved in legal aid in Kenya.
Yeah.
And he had an Italian priest friend
Yes?
who lived in a settlement called Korogocho, an informal slum settlement in Nairobi. And through Mutazar, I got to meet this priest. He is still called Father Alex. I got to meet Father Alex, and he challenged us. And he basically asked us, what law are you doing if you cannot do law that affects the ordinary people of Kenya? And I think I heard him, and he influenced the rest of my work in life.
And that led you, from Mount Kenya area towards Nairobi.
Yes.
You moved to Nairobi for your studies?
Yes, I studied in Nairobi University.
Yeah.
And I worked in Nairobi with Mutaza. He was an advocate who was then involved in legal aid.
Yeah.
And through him, I got to know Father Alex.
And you decide to look, really at people that don't have much of a voice. And as a lawyer, you bring their voice up. Let's move fast forward towards, where IDRC has been involved with you and the Akiba Mashinani Trust. We're talking about which location in Kenya?
It's an area called Mukuru.
Yes.
It's an informal settlement with about 100,000 households that is located in the industrial area of the city of Nairobi.
How many people, roughly?
About 400,000 people.
400,000. And what is, the average size of a house that is essentially, a shelter with, metals, panels? What is the average size of those units?
About 10 by 10 feet.
10 by 10 feet. 400,000 people.
Yes.
So when you first visited them, what struck you?
It's just the extreme poverty and deprivation that they were living in. The environment is very degraded, very little access to basic services. And yet at the same time, a settlement that is vibrant and full of life and energy, and many businesses thriving.
And I think for our audience it's important to say that, Jane and her team documented, I think for one of the first time in Mukuru, what was, the situation in terms of, population size, surface of housing, rent system, lack of sanitation. You were mentioning earlier about 3,000 latrine for the overall, settlement, total lack of water, and when there's available, extremely high costs because, everyone is taking, a chip, until, the final person get to pay, and, it's almost what you have coined as a poverty tax that people. So not only they are with limited voice, they don't have much asset, and plus they are getting, really vulnerable at the face of the many that wants to make money out of it. So you document that. How do you bring it forward to the policy actor for, making them take some action?
Yes, we realized that we needed to tell the city this story. It wasn't enough that we had gathered this information. So we approached the city government and we asked them whether they knew that Mukuru had such big challenges.
Yeah.
And they said no, they were not aware. So we shared with them, like you said, the poverty penalty that the Mukuru people face, the challenges of services. And they were of the opinion that they would be interested, they were keen to do something. So they asked us, what can we do? And we informed them that under the new Kenyan constitution, county governments have the power to declare areas with special development problems as special planning areas. And they agreed to declare Mukuru as a special planning area. And in August last year, the county government of Nairobi declared Mukuru as a special planning area.
And that's important because I think with your background, your research team, the population, you seize the opportunity at a point in time in Kenya where there's the new constitution.
Yes.
There's a willingness to decentralize a very centralized government towards county, you know, like the one that you're working with in Kenya. And those county have authority and they have means also. So it's a live laboratory experiment in democracy. And you're seizing this opportunity to say, hey, let's use this mechanism that is new, the county, and the power they have in order to change the situation. So they have put a froze on the development of Mukuru. But what else have they been helpful to do with you, or have you influenced them to do?
Yes, I think it's the realization that the planning process is difficult and it is complex, and that the county requires resources beyond the resources it has internally.
Yeah.
So when we discussed with the county, we asked them whether they would be willing for us to assist them to mobilize resources from both civil society and the private sector. And they agreed. And so we sat with the county and we divided the planning process for Mukuru into 8 sectors.
Which are?
Land and institutional arrangements.
Yes.
Education, youth and culture, health services and public health. We have water, sanitation and energy, environment and natural resources.
And I'm taking you by surprise by remembering those areas that we can find in other sites on your website as well as ours. But in essence, what you're providing here is that this consultative process that is now, you know, supported by the county that you are leading with your partner. I think there's 40 organizations that are participating into this, are looking essentially what is the best plan for the future.
Yes.
And the basic of what human being needs in terms of, you know, basic sanitation, health, education. You know, a normal human being is in right of demanding. There's part of the story you haven't said. It's about the women. What have been the role of women into this, and how do you see them as actor into this process?
Yeah. The women have a very special role because women are affected by the lack of services, probably more than any other group of people within a settlement. In regard to water and sanitation, women suffer the most. For instance, if a woman has just given birth, has gotten a new child, she's required, she must take care of herself. There's a postnatal care that is so crucial for a woman. Without a bathroom, without water, how does she take care of herself in a situation such as that? So women suffer in many ways that men do not, and therefore they feel the pain more. And within Mukuru, they mobilized in order for their voices and their special needs to be heard. And it is out of this mobilization. And then we began to talk to the county and to share this pain with the county so that the county could declare Mukuru as a special planning area.
And are they going to play a special role in the implementation of this, you know, because they are designing it largely in many areas, but they will be the one that will move also into the action. Are they?
Yes, they are, because we're also creating saving groups. So we're bringing women together to begin to put their savings together, to begin to dream of a better house, and to begin to save for it.
Yeah.
And it is our hope that these saving groups will eventually be the cooperatives that will drive the redevelopment of Mukuru.
In your wildest dream, what will be Mukuru in 10 years from now? How would it look?
10 years from now, Mukuru will be planned, its roads will be open, pipes will be laid, homes will have running water, clean running water. Homes will have toilets, schools will be built, and the state will be providing healthcare and education for the people of Mukuru.
Wow, this is something that we need to check, you know, but I'm sure with the passion that you have displayed and the hard work of you and your team, you will achieve. IDRC is all about knowledge, innovation, solution. You are demonstrating in spades this. What would be the message that you would give to our audience? You know, if there was one learning in your career and in this project that you want to tell the world, you know, our audience, what would it be?
That research and bringing teams of people together to look at complex problems really works. Without evidence, it is very difficult to show the world the kind of problems that poor people face. So the ability to bring people together, to work together, to begin to show what the problem is and to begin to look for solutions is crucial.
Well, you know, on those very genuine and savvy words, Jane, we will stop here. It has been a pleasure to have this conversation with you. It is a pleasure for our audience to be able to listen to leader in action like Jane Weru, who is the executive director and founding member of the Akiba Mashinani Trust. I got it right for the first time. And it's the Leader in Action in series. I'm Jean Lebel, president of the International Development Research Center here in Ottawa. See you soon. And in the meantime, if you want to know more, you can certainly consult the Canadian Geographic website, where IDRC and Canadian Geographic are featuring stories like the one of Jane, and also our own website and the website of the Akiba Mashinani Trust. Jane, a pleasure to have had this conversation with you today. Thank you very much for your visit at IDRC.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.